get going. So, yeah, welcome to Photo 5, Intermediate Digital Photography. Uh, I'll just share the screen and get over to Canvas. So can you guys see this? Great.
Yes.
So this is your view of um, of Canvas and of Photo 5. So yeah, these images, the expensive images. Um, I think that both have been, I don't know if they've been superseded actually. So a lot of money, over $4 million. So welcome to Photo 5. This course is a continuation of Photo 4's introduction to the technical and aesthetic properties of digital photography using Adobe Lightroom as the primary digital darkroom. We will continue working in Lightroom to improve and expand our knowledge and understanding of its organization and functions. So obviously, yeah, a continuation of Lightroom. You've had the basics, and with the basics, um, an introduction to photography itself. So the basics of cameras, lenses, the functions of the camera, the functioning of the camera, how to change exposure, depth of field, color temperature, and white balance. All of those things are assumed, but I've put all of that basic information into Canvas so that you can review it if you'd like to. And we'll take a look at that in a moment. I guess I should have said, my name is Sita Bhattacharjee. Please call me Sita. I started out as a black and white photographer working in the wet darkroom a long time ago. And I still love working in the darkroom and making wet prints. But I also love this. And obviously this is the way of things. So there you have it. I love Lightroom. By the way, we're using Lightroom Classic. And there's Lightroom, just Lightroom, I guess, and Lightroom Classic. And the other Lightroom is more for cross-platform, I guess, platform being, your computer, your iPad, your phone, and so on. So Lightroom Classic is meant to be used on the computer, and that's what we're using here. Okay, so, sorry. Photo 4, or the equivalent, knowledge and experience, is a prerequisite for this class. And you must, as I already said, you must have a grounding in Adobe Lightroom. This includes how to import and export files, how to create collections and smart collections, and being able to edit and manipulate your images using the tools in Lightroom's basic module. You must also, of course, be familiar with such basic computer operations as opening and saving documents, file management, copy and paste functions, etc. And obviously, if you've had the equivalent of Photo 4, you know how to do those things. I certainly hope so. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and the measures put in place to slow its spread, this class, which normally would be taught in the De Anza Digital Photo Lab, will be taught online. Students must have regular access to a computer with high-speed internet access. That's redundant, isn't it? Anyway, and be familiar with the using the internet. Obviously, you are here, so. The class will require the use of Adobe Creative Cloud software applications. If you do not already have access to the Adobe Creative Cloud software suite, De Anza College and Adobe will provide access to you for the duration of should be quarter, not semester. You will need to set up an account with adobe.com if you do not already have one. So I assume you already have Lightroom. But if you do not, it will be provided to you. That it just sounds like you're being read your Miranda rights. You know, if you do not have legal counsel, it will be provided for you. Sorry. Okay. And of course, you'll need a digital camera, preferably a DSLR. You don't have to have a DSLR, but one that does allow you control over the aperture and the shutter and ISO, hopefully. And I don't know what cameras you have, but I assume, perhaps erroneously, that if you're in Photo 5, you do probably have a DSLR um, of this, you know, something of this sort. But again, you don't have to. Okay.
Quick question.
Yes,
If
please.
that's okay if I can interrupt. The Lightroom Classic, I had obtained access through Deanza previously.
Mhm.
I know earlier, end of last week, Deanza Adobe retracted that. So how will we get licensed to that again?
Your names have been given to Adobe.
Okay.
So hopefully, I didn't know they cut it off so quickly, but
I was surprised too, but
wow. I guess now that we're kind of emerging on the other side of the pandemic, they're kind of tightening down again. But you should this week receive an email from Adobe, maybe from Deanza as well, but from Adobe uh, telling you that you now have access. Um, your emails, your email addresses were given to Adobe, and I'm assuming, though again perhaps erroneously, that that your Adobe user information is your email address.
yeah.
So yeah, you should be able to re-up, I guess, if they discontinued you. If you are not able to get back on, or you haven't heard from them, let me know and I'll contact our dean and he can contact Adobe and
All
find out
right.
what's going on.
Thank you.
All right. So if you do have any questions about your cameras, of course, please feel free to ask me. I do not pretend to know each and every camera model. So if you have an instruction manual, that would be helpful, but I'm happy to go over whatever I can with you. Let's see, as this is an online class, you must be familiar with Canvas. Obviously, you're here, or some of you are here, so you've gotten that far in Canvas. All course material and information will be found there. We will also periodically have Zoom meetings, as we're having right now. And my office hours, of course, will be via Zoom. And you will find the invitations for these meetings in the Zoom meetings invitations module on Canvas. And it's the same information, the same invitation that you've used to get here. But that information is there on Canvas if you need it. When you
Now,
need it.
your office hours are Wednesday, I believe.
Yes.
And will we have a recurring Tuesday meeting then,
No.
along with your?
No, we will not. That's when so Wednesdays from 12:30 to 2:30 are my office hours. If we have, I shouldn't say if, when we have Zoom meetings in the future, I guess what I'll do is take a little survey as to when people can meet, because you're the only two who have come today, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad time for everyone else. It just at the moment shows that they didn't come. But I will see if there is a time that works better for everyone, and go from there. Okay. Okay. We've done that. The recommended text for this class is entitled Complete Digital Photography by Ben Long, the 9th edition. And readings will be shown on Canvas as we go through. You are not required to purchase the text. It's recommended. It's a new one for me. I was looking around for a new text to use, and this one looked pretty good to me. The one that we had been using, that many people use, by London and Stone, is very expensive for what you get. So we had been using their kind of abbreviated text that's pretty small, and it still costs like $60. And the big text, which is a very nice book, costs like $120, which seemed, I mean, who can afford that, you know? So anyway, this book looks quite good to me, but the bookstore wouldn't order it because it's not a publisher, probably, that they have some financial deal with, but I don't know. So you have to go online and order it. You can buy the printed version for, I think, $40, and the ebook version for maybe $25. So check it out, and you know, if you like it, go ahead and buy it. But you're not required to do so. Okay. Student learning outcomes. So upon completion of this course, you should be able to apply basic digital camera skills to create images, which presumably you could do anyway, but anyway, and demonstrate a working knowledge of the digital darkroom using Adobe Lightroom. And so presumably, or certainly hopefully, after you have completed this class, excuse me, sorry, your skills in Lightroom will have improved and you will have learned more. I beg your pardon. I'm so sorry. All of the sudden, my throat completely dried out. Okay. Grading. This class is primarily, though not entirely, assignment driven. Evaluation, grading, will be based upon a written exam, the timely submission of assignments, participation, and overall effort. Late assignments are accepted. I always accept late assignments. Points may be deducted depending on the number of days or weeks late. But I do accept late assignments. If you are unhappy with your grade, please speak with me about it. And based on the strength and validity of your argument, I may or may not change your grade, but you may redo the assignment for a higher grade. And so you can always redo assignments, except of course for the last assignment, which is due at the end of the term. And so there's no time. All exams and projects will be graded on a 1,000 point scale, and a minimum passing grade is a D- or 60%. And the breakdown of the grades follows, with A being the highest, F obviously being the lowest, and using the plus minus system. For reasons I do not understand, De Anza does not give C minuses. I don't know why. I did ask the dean once, and he actually did not provide an enlightening answer. So again, I don't know why. Everything else, all the other grades, except obviously for F, have minuses, but go figure. The breakdown of the points for assignments follows. So the first 3 assignments are worth 100 points each. The 4th assignment is worth 300 points. And then in place of a final exam with exam questions, I will provide you with some images, and you will with assigned manipulations that you will do and turn in. It's very easy. You shouldn't have any problems with that. So that's worth 200 points. And then participation, which I'll talk about in a moment, is also worth 200 points for a total of 1,000 points. The assignments, the actual assignments follow. The first is colorizing black and white images. And so you can either take a color image of yours and convert it to black and white and then recolor it differently, hopefully, or take an original black and white image and scan it probably, and then colorize it. And we'll go over how to colorize in Lightroom. So how to add color to specific areas. Yeah, Brian?
Yeah, I was just going to say, do you have, or will you have suggestions as to what makes good subject matter for this? And
Absolutely.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say,
Yeah.
I have a black and white cat, and adding color to a photograph of my black and white cat won't make any sense. So I presume there's better
All right.
subject matter. Oh, okay.
Right.
Depending on what
It's
you're
up to
after.
you. Sometimes, you know, some things work better in black and white than others.
Yes.
And so a gray, you know, a cat that might be beautifully orange, you know, looks just gray and boring in
Mhm.
black and white. But you can then hand tint it and, you know,
Be
bring it
purple.
back or
Yeah.
change it, you know.
Yeah.
But yes, I'll go over that.
Okay.
I'll have it in you know, video form, but going over which images work better, and then of course how to, you know, what to do to the image to make it ready for hand coloring or tinting, and then the actual process. Okay. The second assignment is making panoramic images, which is fun, I think. So, you know, you find a situation that lends itself to a, you know, a really wide angle view that you can't necessarily get in one shot, even with a wide angle lens. So, I mean, you can make it as wide as you want, but 180 degrees is usually what, you know, the maximum. You could go around further, but so you just stand and make image after image, overlapping them. Having a tripod is helpful, but not essential. And then you stitch them together in Lightroom. And in fact, as long as they overlap pretty well, Lightroom does a great job in putting them together. And then you will make adjustments as needed in terms of exposure, color, white balance, you know, to make the best image possible. And the third assignment is called high dynamic range. You may or may not have encountered that, but it's used to make high contrast situations or to bring high contrast situations back into the normal range. So if you're in a situation where you have bright highlights and dark shadows, the camera, your camera, the light meter, cannot expose for each. It will give you a light meter reading depending on where you point your light meter, either for the highlights or the shadows or the midtones, but it can't make multiple exposures at once. And so if you expose for the highlights to get the details in the very bright areas, then everything else will be underexposed. If you expose correctly for the shadows, and so in order to do that, you have to overexpose, then the rest of the image is too bright. With HDR, you make multiple shots at different exposures of the same thing. So ideally, you'll use a tripod and make the exposure that the light meter says is correct and then overexposed, maybe, by one stop and then by two stops, and then underexposed by one stop and two stops, and maybe three in either direction.
Hmm.
So that you have a set of images that has each area of the range of light correctly exposed. You then put them into Lightroom, and Lightroom compresses them and makes one image from all of those different exposures. And you then have one image that has detail in the highlight areas, in the midtone areas, and in the shadow areas. Um, and we'll look at examples of those, and you'll be doing that. So what you need to do is find a situation that has high contrast,
Mhm.
bright highlights, dark shadows. There's no point in doing it in a situation where you don't have much contrast, where everything is kind of within one or two stops of each other. But it can be really fun. Yes, Brian.
You mentioned it can be really fun. This has become a bit of a thing over the course of the past few years, and in looking at some of the stuff that's out there, some of it makes me feel like I'm mentally ill. I mean, it is so bizarre. It just makes me feel like my brain has gone psycho on me or whatever. Will we talk about why that's true and how to avoid that sort of thing?
That's something we would talk about during a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
there's, you have to put your input in, and then I would put mine in. So we can have a Zoom meeting on that, or certainly during my office hours. I'd be
Okay.
happy to do that.
Cool.
Either way, we can do it now if you'd like.
I'll-
After I finish, let me finish going over this stuff.
Yeah.
But absolutely, there's some amazing stuff out there. A lot of new stuff. Techniques that are newer, and things change. They're changing visions. Yeah.
I'll rummage around for something that we can argue about or discuss.
That would be great.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, yes, a
Okay.
discussion.
Yes.
Okay, so high dynamic range. You then have this image that is, has all the information, but you have to bring it out. So, you'll then work on that image and bring out the details and the highlights and the shadows. If you take a look online at, you type in high dynamic range images or photography, a tremendous amount of stuff will come up.
Mhm.
And you'll notice, I think immediately, that people who practice high dynamic range have a love of color saturation. They kind of go insane sometimes with really intense colors. It's up to you how you make your images,
Yep.
Anyway, so those are the three assignments that you'll be working on initially, during the course of the quarter. But your final project is one that you'll also want to be thinking of. So I'll open that up pretty early so you can take a look. You have a choice of projects to work on. There are 3 suggestions and you'll choose one. And if you have some major objections to those, or, talk to me, of course. There's nothing, there's nothing out, way out there that might be offensive, I don't think, but you never know. It's pretty basic, making album covers, taking specific pieces of music and then making images that you feel would go along with those. Or you can do self-portraits, or you can do, I've forgotten the third one. It's something pretty open though, documenting something. Anyway, I'll take a look. But anyway, you have choices of what to do. And then, as I said, there's the final practicum, which you'll do during the finals week. So, and the finals week is June 21st through 25th, which seems very far away right now.
Time flies.
But I find anyway, art classes tend to go pretty quickly.
Mm.
Now, I'm, some of you may not share that view, but anyway, so that will be at the end of the term. Okay, what do the grades mean? I think that we all have a fair understanding of what they mean, but an A indicates excellent work, a B indicates very good work, a C indicates average or adequate work, a D, this is combined D or F, indicates below average or failing work. Yeah, I think you all know the drill on that. One thing that I do want you to pay attention to is submitting work that you have made for this class. So all work submitted for this course is to have been made for this class over the course of this academic quarter and not therefore prior to April 5th, 2021. So that was the beginning of the quarter last Monday. So even if you have an image that you made 3 years ago that fulfills the assignment perfectly, I don't want you to turn that one in, or at least not for the assignment. I'm delighted to look at other work anytime, but for the assignment I want you to do, or the assignments, I want you to do original work. Can I tell if, if you're turning an old piece in? Usually, yes, actually, because the information about the image is embedded into the file. So it's called the metadata, as you probably know. And the information about the camera you use, the lens, the specific settings, the ISO, the shutter speed, the aperture, all of that stuff is embedded in the file, and the date. So when you made the image, if you had the GPS turned on, I think it tells me where it was made as well. And yes, you can change the metadata. It sometimes is a little bit of a pain. You have to, well, I probably shouldn't tell you how to do it. But yes, you can change the metadata. But I think it takes more effort to do that than to just go out and take pictures.
Yep.
So anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying, please make images for this class. Okay, participation. I'm sure you're wondering how the heck you can participate in an online class, right? So though we will not be meeting in person, participation, which includes asking questions, making comments, and discussing your work and the work of your classmates, is still an important facet of education and learning. And that, I think, is really difficult with an online class, unless we have Zoom meetings that are required. But because this class is listed as asynchronous, which means we don't have specific meeting times, Zoom meetings cannot be required.
Mhm.
So we will have them, and we'll talk about that in a moment, but you're not required to attend. So for participation, you will be randomly assigned 2 classmates per assignment whose work you must comment upon. So Canvas will, for each assignment, Canvas will assign 2 students whose work you'll need to comment on. And that becomes available, I think, the day after the due date for any given assignment. And I think that for the last assignment, maybe there isn't this requirement, but for the first 3, there is.
What will you be looking for in that peer review?
So I don't want you to just say, wow, that looks great.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, or that's so beautiful. Great job. Why, why you responded to it. And, if you didn't like it or something bothered you about it, that's fine if you comment on that, in a respectful way.
Mhm.
That's what discussions about photography and art are supposed to be, to give constructive criticism as well.
So
So,
comments
mhm.
such as color composition, objects, color, tinted, selection and stuff like that is really what you'd be looking for then on that?
Sure, you know, if it all works for you, you say, I think you did a great job with the composition and where, the choices you made, um, with replacing color or using selective color. Or you could say, this works beautifully, except that one huge bright spot in the corner I find a little distracting. Maybe you could reduce it or use the spot removal tool or something like that, to minimize that. But other than that, it works beautifully, or however you want to word that. Um, but you don't have to censor yourself in terms of things that you feel could be improved, as long as it's done in a respectful manner. Nor do you have to write a tome on it, a relatively short paragraph is sufficient.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now the things that I'm sure don't apply to you guys, but we have to put in the syllabus. So disruptive behavior, uh, and there is a section in the catalog, which no one ever looks at, but there's a section in the catalog on standards of student conduct. And any student disrupting the class may be asked to leave the class. Obviously, we're not having class. Uh, but I guess if you were to be disruptive during a Zoom meeting, we would ask you to leave. Anyway, um, I am assuming this does not apply to you guys. Academic integrity also, I'm assuming doesn't apply, but we of course put it in, and it essentially means don't cheat. You know, submit your own work and do your best. But yeah, academic integrity is important. Academic dishonesty is a violation of the honor code. And that includes not just, well, it includes written and visual information. And one thing that many people seem to think doesn't count is anything you find online.
Mhm.
You know, I think many people, and myself sometimes included, we feel it's kind of like a free for all or freebies. But people do write that stuff, and so it is plagiarism, to take stuff online, from online, as well as, you know, taking stuff from books and not attributing the source. Now, if you take it and you put quotation marks around the whole thing and say where you got it, then it's not plagiarism, right? Okay. The Student Success Center is a very useful resource for people, and not everyone knows that it exists. But if you're having any troubles academically, or otherwise, it's a good place to go. So you can get tutoring. There are workshops. um, so I hope that you're aware of its existence. And the same for disabled student services. Uh, you may have a disability, and obviously that's none of my business, but you may have a disability that may not be that obvious, but it still is a problem. And disabled student services can be very helpful and act as an advocate for you academically. If you need extra time for exams, for assignments, and so on, they can really help you out there. So again, something to be aware of. Um, and finally, if for some inexplicable reason you decide or desire to drop the course, you don't like it, you don't like me, I hope that doesn't happen, but or for whatever reason, this is not working out for you, please drop the course. Let me know if you can, but it is your responsibility to drop it. And I try and check in if I see somebody has just kind of stopped coming or stopped going to the Canvas. I try and check in and see what's going on. But if this person just ever shows up again, I'll probably drop the person, but I don't guarantee that I'll drop the person. And if it goes to the end of the term, then you get an F. And that would be terrible, to get a W for withdrawn or heaven forbid an F just because you didn't drop the class. So obviously I hope that you will not drop the class, that you will love it and so on. But if it's not working out, drop the class. Okay, important dates. Monday, April 5th, obviously has come and gone. But this coming Saturday, April 17th, is the last day to add classes using an add code, and they've gotten very strict about that. Sunday, April 18th, the day after, is the last day to drop classes and get a full refund or credit. And it's also the last day to drop a class with no record of a grade. So no record of your ever having been here. After that time, you can still drop the class, but you'll get a W for withdrawn or withdrawal. So Friday, May 28th is the last day to drop a class and receive a W. After that date, you cannot drop the class, even if you want to, and you will presumably receive an F if you haven't done any of the work. You have to, talk with the teacher, with the instructor, but the instructor cannot drop you after that date, and you cannot drop the class after that date. Friday, June 25th, which is the last day of the quarter, is the last day to request a pass or no pass grade option if you so desire. That is also the last date to request an EW if the student has COVID-19 related reasons for withdrawing. So, so if you have had some sort of issue with COVID, if you've had it or someone you know has had it, or I don't know what other, situations would occur, but if that is so, you can receive an EW, and the E for extenuating circumstances, perhaps. So it doesn't count in the same way as a W. I should say it doesn't look as bad. So if a student's grade, list of grades has a whole bunch of W's, that tends to look bad. When another school is looking at it, they say, oh my goodness, this student has enrolled in all these classes and then never finished them. But an EW looks better because you had extenuating circumstances that the school knows about. So, so over this last year, since we've been in lockdown, a number of students have requested and gotten EWs. That's a possibility if you are in need. Would you close the door, please? And then finally, finals week is Monday, from Monday, June 21st through Friday, June 25th. And then the quarter ends. So finally on the syllabus, I welcome your questions and comments. I always do, truly. So please feel free to contact me with these or any concerns or issues that you may have via email or during my office hours. And if my office hours don't work for you, let me know and we can arrange another time to have a Zoom meeting. So I'm certainly open to that. A number of students have done that, and that's great. I'm always happy to talk and see you guys during, yeah, again, during office hours or otherwise. All right. And finally, we have here Steve Sasson, who invented the first digital camera, which recorded to cassette tapes. So you guys remember cassette tapes. I grew up with cassette tapes. The rest of you young people have probably never encountered a cassette tape, but there you have it. Ah, a late comer. Um, hello. Hi
Hello.
there.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I didn't know that there was a meeting actually.
That's okay. No worries. It's not required, and I've been recording it, so it will be posted to Canvas. So I just finished going over the syllabus, and you can listen to the recording of it, and of course, hopefully, you've taken a look at the syllabus. Okay. So we're on the homepage of Canvas, and so I just went over the syllabus. But as I'm sure you know, on the homepage, you also have a to-do list and any announcements that I've posted, which I do post periodically, will appear here. I generally email announcements to you guys as well, just so that you're aware that I've like tried to contact you with some information. And at the bottom of the homepage is a course summary. So the assignments, you know, anything that you have to do in terms of turning things in is listed down here. And I just want to check out, I want to take a look quickly at the modules, because that, of course, is where all the important information is. So here we are at the modules. They're pretty boring looking, but so we have a welcome. And it says pretty much what I went over at the beginning of the syllabus, what the class is. But here we go over how it's structured just very briefly. So this online class accessed through Canvas is divided into modules. Each module deals with a photographic topic and contains readings, lectures, lecture notes, and in some cases, videos. The modules are presented in chronological order, that is, in the order in which you are to access them. This does not mean that you cannot look ahead, so to speak. It's fine if you do. And the order of the assignments mirrors the order of the module subjects, which is not so, it doesn't apply that much actually to the Photo 5 assignments. So Photo 4 and Photo 5 are actually one class when we meet, or when we would meet in person. So that's more true of Photo 4 with the subjects listed, you know, as they're introduced: the camera, the lens, the how you make exposures, and so on. Your assignments, the Photo 5 assignments, are beyond that stuff. So let me just go back to the modules. So there are resources, Canvas resources, and counselor information for those of you who have need. And again, they can be very helpful, very useful. The Zoom meetings. So the Zoom invitation, the address that you already used to get here today. But as we have Zoom meetings, I'll post them here. I'll post the recordings. Then Lightroom. So there are instructional videos, and this first set of them are not me. I've put some of Adobe's instructional videos in that are made by a woman named Julianne Cost, who I find extremely helpful. They're relatively short videos. They're not like an hour long, but usually under 10 minutes. And so I put in different topics. Most of them intro stuff for Lightroom, but some advanced stuff as well. And as I said, I think she's really very good. She explains things very simply, but well. And then lectures that I have made of myself for different subjects in Lightroom. And there will be more as we go on in the quarter. And then the basic things. So basics of the camera, settings, the ISO, the light meter, and so on. So there are readings and there are lectures, and then my lecture notes that I go over as I'm lecturing, but you know, if you just want the notes, that they are there. The lens, how the lens functions, different lenses, the focal lengths and their, you know, their attributes. Controlling the light entering the camera, the aperture and the shutter, putting those together, using them together as equivalent exposures, and bracketing. And so HDR, which I talked about, is kind of like it's bracketing, extended bracketing, you know, and then putting the images together. Depth of field, what it is, why you know, how you change it and why. Color temperature and white balance, what it is and why you might want to change it, different light sources and so on. And then I think that so as we go on in the term, there will be more information for each assignment. The first one is available already, information for the first assignment, which again is adding color to black and white images. So how to convert an image to black and white and so on. And again, I was redoing my own recording, so I'll get that loaded as well. And there will be subsequent modules for each assignment as they open up, as they become available to you. The information here in the modules will also become available early. I mean, it's not just like a day before it's due, but several weeks before. Okay. Any questions? All good? Yeah, Brian?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I've got construction guys, so if it starts hammering and sawing in the background, that's what is going on. And I have to run at the bottom of the hour here. I just wanted to ask, I thought I recall hearing that there is a practical quiz to sort of test one's basic Lightroom skills at the beginning of this term. Is that?
I changed that. It just didn't work out that well. So I am going to assume that you guys have an adequate basis in Lightroom and in photography to be in this class. And I think that it will become obvious to you guys if you don't. I know that Brian and Jay, you guys do have previous experience. But for the rest of you, I will, you know, rely on your your sensibilities about this. And if you feel that this is a little too advanced, then you're welcome to switch over to Photo 4, to the beginning class. So yes, a longer winded way of saying that I have done away with the sort of entrance quiz. Okay. All right. Any other questions? All good? Excellent. Well, I welcome you. I'm glad to see at least a few faces. And I hope to see the rest of your faces sooner rather than later. But again, if you have any questions, concerns,
I did have a quick
whatever.
question, actually.
What's that?
I did have a quick question, actually. As I click on modules for the course,
Yes.
I'll see the assignment examples and such, but I don't see the actual like assignment prompt or what the assignment's requesting.
Yeah, because the assignment hasn't actually been posted yet. It's due, I think, on April 30th. And so it will open up this Friday and you'll be able to see everything at that time.
Okay. My assignment one here says depth of field.
Are you here for Photo 5 or Photo 7?
Photo 7 is my course.
Okay, your intro Zoom meeting is tomorrow, actually.
Oh, okay, that
That's
makes more sense. I
at
was a little bit
12:30.
confused.
You're like, what is she talking about? All right, yeah. So you with the same address, the same Zoom address, your class will meet tomorrow at 12:30. Okay.
Tomorrow at 12:30. Thank you
Tomorrow
so
at
much.
12:30.
All
Absolutely.
right.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
All right. Bye. Okay. Well, that took care of that. And hopefully he'll come tomorrow. So yeah, the assignments are locked and they open up as we progress through the quarter. Okay, so what you're seeing here presumably is what you see on your computer for the first assignment, but it will open up on Friday, actually Friday at 12 a.m. So Thursday night, and all will be made clear. Right. So do you guys have any other questions, comments, issues?
Thank you.
Good.
It's very helpful.
None at this time. Thank you very much.
All right. Excellent. Well, nice to see you guys. And this will be posted as soon as it consolidates and does what it has to do. Then I'll get it up on Canvas. Okay. So hope to see you again soon.
Very much.
Excellent. Then.
Great. Thank you. Stay safe, stay healthy. And all right.
Great.
Bye now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.